welcome to this introductory webinar for those looking to use IBISWorld in a sales or business development capacity. I'm Isaac Satin, Director of Customer Communications for IBISWorld. If you haven't already done so, I suggest you watch the general overview video, which goes through some best practices, search functionality, and general tips for the IBISWorld platform. In this video, we'll delve into the specifics of how to use the IBISWorld content for both sales professionals and those business owners who are looking to use a tool for business development purposes. As a former sales professional myself, what I love about the IBISWorld content is not only will it help you immensely when speaking directly with a prospect, but can also help determine the best industries to target, along with regions to explore when looking for new prospects. We'll start off with using a specific industry title today for the purposes of the walkthrough. Car and auto manufacturing is what I've chosen. Then I'll share a few tricks with you of how to use the database from a broader sense to show how we can identify potential target markets when looking through a sales lens. So first, what I want to point out to you when we get into the industry report for a salesperson is you're going to take a quick look at these recent developments just to see if anything's changed in the last several weeks or months that have really influenced the industry. And then we're going to jump right into the industry at a glance page. And from here, we're just going to get a rough overview of the market. It's roughly $101 billion industry, one of the largest that's out there. Get a sampling of what the profit margins are, only 1.5%, so very tight profit margins in this space. The general growth trend over the years, from year over year, you want to get an idea of, so you can see that that has been very volatile here when we're looking at the growth year over year. Of course, the pandemic impacting it heavily quite a bit. We know the chip shortage, but we can find out more about that in the report. But again, the industry at a glance page is just designed to give you a quick understanding of, okay, what market am I looking at? Does this fit some of the target demographics that I'm looking for to sell my business or service into? And get a general working knowledge. I know salespeople are tight for time, so we generally go through this a little bit quicker. And I'm going to share with you a version of our platform designed specifically for that as well. The next section that I want to jump immediately to is the competitive landscape and into the cost structure benchmarks, because ultimately this is going to break down where are businesses typically spending their money in this industry. And when you think about your own service or product, where does it fall with this percentage of revenue being spent? So for example, in the car and automobile manufacturing industry, over 81% of all revenue is being spent on purchases. Another area that's going to be big is the other costs. We're going to want to explore what that entails to see where our own possible business or service falls into that. Wages is a big chunk, but let's jump down to this other cost. That's 3.9%. So we're going to scan down here, and it's all the way down at the bottom, but we're actually going to break down what all those other costs are for you. So it's roughly 4% of a $100 billion industry. So we're talking about $4 billion of spend here. Of that $4 billion, we can see where that's typically spent on different things. And I like to point out the research and development. So IBISWorld being a research and development tool in a lot of ways, that's where I would know that this industry is spending, of that 4% of the industry, roughly 72% on research and development. That means there's $3 billion that's being spent in R&D in the car and automobile manufacturing market. Clearly, there's going to be a need for my specific product. Now, for yourself, you're going to want to analyze, where do you guys fit in? What kind of specification of spend do you fit in? But I think the cost structure benchmarks is a really great place to go when starting off, just to get a general idea of, is there actual money to be spent on your product or service in the space? The next area we're going to jump to is specifically the call preparation questions. Now, I'm going to show you this in another place in just a minute, but we brought this into our main industry reports recently because it's such a popular area that we find that people look at when doing a sales, a marketing, a business development type of role. And this is going to give you anywhere from 15 to 20 different questions that you're going to want to ask of your prospect. And of course, being able to shoehorn in some of the needs and solutions that your product offers into these questions, I think, is paramount when you're going through them. How do these answers to these questions align with your product or service, and how can you help present that to your possible client? So you'll see we have it broken down by various areas of a prospect's business, depending on your own resource and your own tool, or your own product or service, of course. And you can go all the way through and analyze these questions. These are some of the pain points that your prospects may be facing, and hopefully you can offer the solution to. Once again, we also look at external issues as well as internal issues, things that are outside of a business's control that they typically have to be reactive to and be aware of, as well as internal issues that maybe they can be a bit more proactive. And this is where you might come into place of helping them get out in front of a potential issue or potential problem that could lead to a bigger issue down the line. So always recommend to people, go check out the call preparation questions, think about your own product or services you're going through, and a lot of these are going to be able to help you develop a conversation, develop a dialogue, which we know typically for service professionals might be a bit more of that challenge. If you're not a sales professional, if that's not your primary role, but sales is a component of your role, these questions give you a great leg up. Now, there are several other sections from the left-hand side here that I am going to want to share with you today, but I really want to jump into how IBISWorld helps with prospecting and targeting clients next. And that's actually one of our premium tools, the Industry Wizard tool. Now, this is something that's available to all clients for an additional charge annually. You can run unlimited queries, but ultimately what it allows you to do is take all of the information in the IBISWorld database, all of our thousands upon thousands of data points, and search and filter all of the different information that we do have within the platform. So it is an extremely powerful tool when used correctly. And as you can see, if I unclaps all of these different areas here, I can go and sort and filter however I want to all the different reports that are inside the IBISWorld database. It starts with all 1,500 of our titles. So let's say you were looking for new prospects. I'm going to recommend actually going down to these quick lists here as a starting point, because what we've done here is we've gone ahead and started various searches and queries that can lead you to the types of businesses and industries that you're looking for. So you can just scan here. I'll zoom in a little bit for you so you can see it a little bit more clearer. Slowest growing industries, fastest growing industries, consolidating industries, future stars. We're going to come back to that one. I think some of these are really interesting. Hot startup industries, highly concentrated industries, fragmented industries, capital hungry, labor hungry, volatile and declining industries. Maybe you have a product that helps companies as they are in that decline stage and helps them maybe maximize profits or help with inventory management, or even towards the bankruptcy stages might help with that. We can look at some of those volatile and declining industries for you. For the purposes of today's demonstration, let me jump into the future stars initial query for you. And you can see here what we're isolating are industries that are in the growth life cycle stage. That means they're growing faster than the US economy. We're looking at the cost structure profit margins here. So right now we're looking at profit margins that are roughly around 8.73%. I'm going to ramp that up, though, for the purpose of our demonstration today. I want to get an even narrower list, right? Let's look at industries that are really doing well in terms of profit margins. I'm going to ramp that up to roughly, what is that, under 15%, about 13, 14% there. And then revenue growth. We're going to be able to take a look at the next or the last 7 years of revenue growth, but we can actually go into the futures. We can change that to individual specific years, custom year range, whatever you'd like to do there. And I'm going to add in a couple of more things from the left-hand side here. Let's add in total number of enterprises, right? Because I don't want to be going after industries that maybe only have 100 businesses total. Or maybe you do. Of course, that's going to be suited to your own company. And I'm also going to add in here, let's say, revenue. What's the overall size of the industry? How much money is being brought in? And that's going to give me a really nice list here to take a look at. So let's go up. Let's view matches. And of course, you can save this query, come back to it later. So it's not one-time thing. A lot of people have maybe 5 to 10 of their favorite searches that they search and come back to again and again and again. So here you have our search results now. 65 records have been returned to me. I can export this into Excel to further manipulate and look at the data, but it's all very easy to sort and filter here. You can see on the left-hand side, I can sort by the largest revenue of the industries that showed up. Excuse me, the revenue growth year by year in a pretty big range, right? Everything from an industry that grew 36% in the last year all the way down to under 4% in the last year. So that's a pretty interesting one. Remember, the modifier we used was profit margins, right? So these are just all industries that have 15% or greater profit margins, but still might be a declining industry when you take a look at that. So I find that to be really interesting here. And again, you can do what you'd like with this information, but let's say I was a sales professional and I'm looking for an industry that has a lot of revenue, has a lot of businesses, right? Maybe I have a software solution or something, payroll management, systems management, healthcare management, I don't know, it could be anything, but I'm looking at dentists as the one that catches my eye here, right? 15% profit margins, a lot of businesses, a lot of revenue, and that lets us jump into this particular industry. And then maybe we go down and we see other ones that are in this space. If it's a healthcare space, diagnostic and medical laboratories, urgent care centers, ambulatory surgery centers. Again, it's going to be dependent on what you're looking at. But I think this is really interesting, especially when you're a business that's more agnostic, that your clients can come from a variety of industries, much like IBISWorld ourselves, because it lets you really pinpoint and target industries that might be ideal for your product offering at that time. So I strongly encourage you to go in and play around with the wizard tool. Let's jump into the dentist report now. We're going to be going back into the report because there's a few more things that I want to show you before we wrap up this demonstration here. So now we're in the dentist in the US report, and I really wanted to share with you our new geographic breakdown chapter. That's a really big one because let's say you need to get more narrow in the areas that you're focusing in on. We know that sales professionals are typically set up by territory, or maybe you're more regional type of business. Well, now we can get down to that regional level. So not only are we going to show you some key highlights of states up here, but what I really love is this new sort and functionality by state here. And we have all 50 states opened up right here in the window. And we can see this ranges from only 329 dentist practices in Wyoming all the way up to 32,000 in California, right? So if you're selling to dentists in California or just dentists nationwide and you're a new business, starting with California, Texas, Florida, New York are going to be your places to be. However, let's narrow that a little bit more because which ones are doing well and growing the most? You can see California versus New York, surprisingly, almost 2 percentage points greater in terms of revenue growth in the last couple of years. What does that mean? Again, asking yourself of your product, your offering, how does that come into play? And you can see we can sort and filter by any of these different areas here. And of course, we have our industry state reports, where if we wanted to go further within one of these states, if you subscribe to our state industry report product, if you're really regionally focused, I can't recommend that resource enough. This is another additional collection we offer, but we have about 400 separate titles for every single state that we focus on. So you can see here, we can go through, we're now looking at the dentist specifically in California report and have this great geographic breakdown here by county. So if this is something of interest, please be sure to explore it more in the Help Center or reach out to your client relationship manager. They'd be happy to do a more in-depth demo, share the platform with you, perhaps offer up a trial so you can see this part of the solution that we offer. So definitely recommend the geographic breakdown to take a look at. And then the last area I want to highlight for sales professionals before I show you our summary version of the report, I like to close with that, is the major companies section. Now, dentists, highly fragmented industry. There's no major dental company, but there are some rather large players in this space. And you'll see here that we do share with you, about 15 to 20 of them here when we're taking a look at all of the major dental companies, 500 plus employees, 100 to 500 employees, some of the smaller ones here. And we can go and take a quick snapshot at each of these companies. How are their financials a little bit? Give us a little bit of an overview, their market share year by year, and that's what our new company information is providing. We do offer a new company information tool if you want to learn more about this with the company profile, and that's if you're going to get more in depth on how does this company stack up within its own industry. Now, the last area that I want to share with you today is our iExpert summary report. Now, I probably could have started off the demonstration with this, but I like to close with the bang here that we know sales professionals are limited on time. Who isn't, right? And let's say you only had a couple of minutes. This is going to be an initial first kind of prospecting call. You have maybe 5 to 10 minutes. You're jumping on the phone with the potential client. Well, this is to give you a good overview of what's going on within this industry space. Just high-level facts, figures, right off the bat. You can get an understanding here of what's happening without reading all the analysis and going in depth. Just quickly scanning through, you'll see a lot of the key parts from our core industry reports. But what I love about this is that it's just a lot of visuals and you can get an idea of the scope of it. So quickly, I know there's the 15% profit margins. I know that wages is their next, is their largest expense area, almost 40%. Purchases, another 13% there. All the different services offered in the dental space, restorative dental services leading the way. followed up by preventative services, right? Your routine checkups, I imagine that's going to be. And then we're going to give you our overview on the industry performance, what's been going on, what's a major threat, major opportunity, and then you're going to have those call preparation questions again. So we, of course, saw that within the full report. It's now being offered on that homepage, but also it's always going to be in the iExpert. And this is a great version to print out for yourself, quickly pass along to somebody else at your company if they need to take a look at it. So highly recommend you take a look at that. So that's your quick overview today of using IBISWorld for sales and business development. Please be sure to continue to explore the Help Center for further information on how IBISWorld can be utilized, or if you have any questions on any of the additional products, such as the Industry Wizard tool or state reports, please don't hesitate to reach out so we can assist. If you go back to your main IBISWorld landing page here on the home screen, you'll always see your client relationship manager's information right up there in the top right-hand corner. So don't be hesitant to reach out, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks so much.